petitioned. And I remember when I engaged all of them, those who were there, the directors, I told them, don't attempt to bribe me. If you attempt to bribe me, I will let the police pick you. I told them. Because I feel, we live in a country where the business committee, some of them think that there's a price tag on every politician. Now, when we did this, I said, we're going to do a very fair, honest job, but wait until the minister comes, because I was a deputy minister. When Dr. Spill Gabriel was finally vetted and sworn in, I put this before him. And he said, look, and I suggested what we could do, and he agreed that we formed a task force to do an independent investigation. Yeah. Because the allegation was that they were bringing the rice through the Lubo border, Togo, and other borders. Without paying the necessary taxes, they can come in there, and the big rice importers, you know, they bring them through the ports. So the state can assess, they can pay the required taxes. But those small rice importers, they can go and bring the rice from Ivory Coast and Togo million times even a year. You could not access. Do you know the one I made to lead the investigation? Kofi Kapito. And that was the time Kofi Kapito was on NDC government. You remember? Attacking, I used Kofi Kapito. I used some selected journalists, including Peace FM and others. We provided money for them. When they went to those borders, engaged in it as if they themselves were bringing in the rice, when they came, Kofi Kapito, if wherever he is, he's listening, the report was that we should not lift the ban. No, are you getting it? We shouldn't lift the ban. And I said, look, and I remember Kofi Kapito, I mean, I'm an MPP person. A lot of the people who are engaged in the small rice importers, they are people. But please, for the sake of this country, don't lift the ban. And that was the reason why we maintained the amount of money we were spending for the purposes of importing rice into this country around, and poultry products around 500 million. The moment this government came, you know what they did? They didn't come out and announce that we are lifting the ban, but they told them, go ahead and bring in these products. Okay. So it is saturated. So they can, and you know, they get them very cheap. When they bring them, the local rice cannot even compete. So the one who is heading an institution feels that, okay, if I buy from the importer at a cheaper rate, and maybe perhaps because corruption and the MPP appointees were like a Siamese twins, they feel that, okay, let's get it, let's get this, and they buy them at a cheaper prices at the expense of the locally produced rice. So I'm saying that it is not a fluke. I'm not saying I want you to start jubilating over this. No, I'm not that type who says, let's jubilate over it. But we should all be happy. Even if it is by accident that our city is appreciating NPP for the first time demonstrate that patriotism which you rather hypocritically added in your name as New Patriotic Party, yet there isn't a scintilla of patriotism in you. As long as that patriotism doesn't inure to your benefit, you cannot be calling yourself New Patriotic Party using the word patriotic. Yet when there is enough ground for you to demonstrate that patriotism, you are indeed being anti-patriotic. You are against the progress of this country, and you are so hurting. You are so hurting that you do everything. Apart from the communicators, you have your leading members. When the party is in opposition, as they see today, they don't have a presidential candidate. The leadership in parliament are the leaders of your party, including your national executive. And all of them are saying that don't give NBC any credit for what we have achieved. It is because of Donald Trump's, tariffs imposition on things. Yet Nigeria, which is the biggest trading partner, the dollar is not doing well. The naira is not doing well. Our city is doing well. So I expect my brother, maybe perhaps when it comes to his turn, he would apologize to the people of this country on behalf of the NPP and tell them that maybe perhaps they didn't know, they will go and sin no more. So I'm not saying that we are there yet, but I am very optimistic that His Excellency the President should ensure that nobody, no appointee goes against his directive of important, particularly these very important state institutions, buffer stock, school feeding, NADMO. They should not. If they are not able to do that, and I can tell you, we will be able to sustain this, and perhaps bring the dollar down. I am very convinced about that. Okay. Because there are a lot of things, Sena, we are spending a lot of money importing that we have the capacity to do.
Produce, okay.
Honestly, and the president has demonstrated that time beyond number. Okay. So I expect my brothers and co, for the first time at least, they should demonstrate some level of patriotism.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. And if you just join us, the matter of all talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji, of course, we are discussing whether or not the current performance of the city can be maintained. Because you've mentioned the MPP and you've even brought in Sabo.
Oh, I know he's subjective. I mean, yes, honestly, so I expect him to be.
So I'll bring in Sabo for his views on this. Good morning.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you this morning.
My landlord wanted to corner me. But he was my landlord. Normally, I find it difficult, discussing politics with him. I think whoever knows him, especially school days, will attest to the fact that it didn't matter whether you are related to him or not. The most important thing is do the right thing, and then you are good to go. In fact, we didn't know each other from anywhere. We only met in school, but till we left school, I cannot even single out something that he has ever done to me that I would say that I will need an apology or it's a bad experience. However, I don't know why he's where he is.
So he started rather calmly, but I knew that he wasn't going to land well.
Like you said, you don't know why he's where he is.
So I tell my friends that if political parties were to be on lineage,
yeah,
I should be an MPP.
Yeah.
My grandfather was one of the founding fathers of the UP tradition, Yakub Tali.
Yeah.
You know, they named the Tamal Airport, which we shall be changing. We have to change it absolutely. It has nothing to do with family.
Your grandfather.
No, but Masa, why? I'm saying that if you are naming something and the Yana and many other people have problems with it, you never consulted and never. No, he has. In fact, NX. Yana, no, as a matter of fact, he expressed it. So I'm saying that. So if it has to do with lineage, but you see, Sabo, the moment I started growing up, and I developed the habit of reading.
Okay.
But we are reading about Ghana's political history. The more I read about the political history of this country, the more I distance myself from the UP tradition.
Please go ahead.
And I want you to do the same. There are some books I will make available to you.
I will appreciate that. Good morning to our cherished viewers. Good morning to my co-panelists, the Don and then Lawyer. Lawyer, I beg, today we are not going to discuss law. Because in fact, Daddy, I didn't find comfort within my listen. So we are not going to any law this thing. So now your good self, and then your crew. Well, like he said, we found with you. I don't think there will be a Ghanaian who will not be happy for the good performance of the city, because we all stand for Ghana, and it is in the interest of Ghana that we can all move ahead. And for that matter, it doesn't matter who's in the driving seat. The most important thing is that Ghana should be in a very good shape to compete with the rest of the world on the international market. So, and for that matter, that one, of course, we are happy. Quite apart from that, the city that I have in my pocket, I don't think somebody will take control of it when the dollar comes down and I'm able to buy what I could not buy yesterday. So that one, yes, nobody has any reason to it. But of course, it is always good that we establish the facts. And quite apart from that, even as we speak now, what we are enjoying now, we want it to continue for a very long time. And we can only do so when we stick to the facts. But when we close our eyes to the facts, definitely we'll go back to where, yes, we came from. So, and the Dogombes, have it is that speaking the truth, hurts, but it pays when you are able to establish the facts. So I think, for me, the city as we speak today, on one breath, the government will normally tell us that they've just been ushered into office. And some of the things, it will take a longer time for them to get themselves on a very good distance. and on another breath, they will tell you that I want something positive. For that one, that is them who are doing that, without even giving any credit. Like my brother was saying, that at least we should, of course, if you do something good, why not give you the credit? I think on this platform, several other instances that have actually commended the sitting president, especially with the way he did his appointment. I said, yeah, this is the way we want a leader to go. Yes, let the people would know that it pays to be honest, to be hardworking, and then, of course, to be committed to the cause of what they call it, progress. So if he was able to go on that path, why not praise him? And today, in fact, if he comes out with good policies that will enhance our economic development, unless maybe you are a witch or a wizard, that you will say that where we are heading will not end well. We will all pray. And quite the truth is like calabash on the surface of water. Regardless of how long you suppress it, submerge it, when you get tired, you leave it and to come back to the surface of the water. So you can never hide the truth. Yes, you can only play with it for some time. So I think if you look at the performance of the cities, you cannot say that there's no any global effect on it. You cannot say that it's an isolated case of Ghana. It is the city that is performing strongly against the dollar, and the dollar is where it has been. Yes, if we were making comparison Nigeria and the rest, yes, I agree. The largest trade partner of Nigeria is America. What about Ghana? Today as we speak, per the records, China is our largest trade partner. Am I right? Yes, per the records, if you check, that is how it is. And if China is actually trying to subdue the American dollar, and most of the goods that we buy it from China, definitely our city will seem to be performing better. That's one angle. The other angle too is that this government, yes, it has just come. I think most of the ministries, they are still doing auditing to make sure that they get things right before they can continue with existing contracts, and then now even sign on to new contracts. And for that matter, government expenditure is still very low. Government has not started spending. And when that thing also happens, definitely it will give some oxygen to the city and make the city look good. Until you begin to spend, you begin to pay contractors and others. Then that one too, you will now begin to see the strength of the city.
Sena, I'm not cutting in, but you know that this is the time the dollar goes higher, when people are going to Hajj. You know that?
No, that is. But I agree with you. Yes, yes, ideally.
But yet it's coming down.
No, it is coming down. That's what I'm saying. Because of the external effects,
chain of thoughts
that is happening. Because even in Hajj, whatever whatever that we are paying, they normally relate it to dollar, and then exactly. So, and it has gone through Saudi and the rest of. So definitely it will have a listen. In fact, that just reminded me something. I think we are hoping and praying that our brothers and sisters who have just gone to perform the Hajj, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take them safely and bring them back safely. And those who are yet to get the opportunity to get there, may Allah make it easy for them, inshallah. So like I was saying, so we are all, in fact, like, I don't know, I will want this to continue for a very long time, that the city should find itself, far above water level, so that we can also be able to do some, projects that we've been praying to do all this while, and other things. So, Sena, that one, yes, that is one of the this thing. And then the gold reserve. They normally say we shouldn't talk about it, but it is a fact. I think we all agree that gold is a store of value. Yes, a value that does not depreciate, and even with time, it rather appreciates, and what have you. And of course, the quantum of gold that we had, or now reserve, and today what we have, of course, far outnumber what we used to have. And for that matter, it has added value to our currency, because I'm not a finance person, but I'm told that most often than not, the currency of a state or whatever is also normally determined or backed by these kind of commodities in their stock. So, and for that matter, yes, that one is also giving us some sort of comfort to make the city look better than other currencies. and what have you. And of course, the comparison between Nigeria and Ghana too, the point is that, of course, the economic policy of Nigeria and that of Ghana definitely are not the same. Their trade zone and our trade zone, also like he rightly established, are also not the same. Yes, so, and if maybe we were to be having some kind of direct trade relationship with Nigeria, I mean, which is very small. Of course, no, not that big. Like I wanted to say, like in the past, it was very big. But today, with the advent of China and the rest, we have diverted most of the this into China. If it's even worth it traveling that 12 hours journey, am I right, to China to go and buy some what do you call it, products, than to just walk to Nigeria to go and buy those products in terms of profit margin that I'm talking about. So we have increased our destiny in China and the rest. So all these things are factors that we should be looking at. I am saying so because, of course, yes, today is the NDC that is in power. But even when we are to come back to power, we want the economy to look good. So that when we also take over, it will be much easier for us. Of course, the president was also caught on another breath, saying that, in fact, the whole country was turned into a crime scene. Economic, did he say economic crime scene or just a crime scene? Am I right? Yeah, that crime scene. And because that economy is very bad and whatever. And all of a sudden, that, what do you call it, bad economy has gained strength to recover that much and at such a faster rate. Definitely, it will also, if you understand finance very well, it will tell you that, of course, some of the, facts were not well presented by the current president to the Ghanaian people. And people who understand finance very well will best explain this particular phenomena more than I would do. Yes, so if you bring all these things together, you agree with me that, indeed, the previous government put certain things in place. And if you observe, this gold for oil, I stand to be corrected. But I don't think it's up to 2 years when this thing was established. I don't know. I stand to be corrected. But I don't think it's up to 2 years.
No, it was more than 2 years.
It's more than 2 years. Okay. But yes. But as we speak, it's still growing. From the time that it was established up to now, even with this current government, I think something has been added onto the reserve again. And indeed, it means that going into the future, if you continue, and I believe that is what has now been turned into good board, that our brother Sami Jamfi is heading, and the rest. And of course, if due diligence are done within that particular office, then I strongly believe that this trend may be, even if the dollar should gain its strength or its feedback, but the city will not go like the way it used to go. We'll find ourselves somewhere, and then, but if all these things are not well managed, and we allow, for lack of better words, for the government to drain the one that we have now, then definitely we'll go back to square one again. And Sena, I also want to believe that the city is also it's also doing well. It's not only China that's isolation in this particular matter. Other European countries are also having issues with the dollar as we speak today. And you also agree with me that it was like, I don't know whether it is by law or it was just by coincidence, that the whole world, whoever wants to go beyond its borders to go and then do business, has to get the dollar to be able to do international transactions.
No, it was America. They did that using oil with Saudi in the 70s.
Oh, okay. And I think with what China is doing now, we are likely to get out of this bondage. That maybe now, even when you are going to China, you can now use the yuan rather right from Ghana to China to go and do your distance. I think it also brought down, to the managers of our countries, how best they can agree for us to be able to make the dollar be restricted to America and not imposed on us. Even today in Ghana, when people are going to rent, there are some areas like Airport Hills, East Legon, and the rest. When you are to rent, they quote it in dollars, and even sometimes they demand you to pay in dollars to them, not in $10, but in physical dollars to them. Yes, I think we should also commend Bank of Ghana with the kind of policy that they have brought, that you cannot just come and just withdraw dollar just like that. I think you need to state, though the money is yours and the rest, but for the sake of the country, for us to be able to tame the dollar and the rest, I mean, you need to let the state know why you want to withdraw such huge sums of money, and I mean, in dollar descent to, I mean, go out. If maybe if the business is to be done within Ghana, I don't think that would be a problem. But if you are taking the money outside Ghana, definitely it will have a telling effect on the city. So that one to that control this, and I think yes. But nonetheless, the black market, I don't know how they are going to control those people too. Because if all these beauty things are done and the black market is allowed on its own to continue to operate, then there will be a very huge leakage in this particular regards. That means that though the government might have been doing its best, but the black market operations will have drained all the effort that the government will have put in place to make sure that the city gains its strength. So what we are telling them is that it's not that we have not given recognition to the what they call appreciation of the city, but nonetheless they should also give us the credit for putting those structures in place for them to have comfort in it to actually. In fact, may the soul of President Professor Fifi, is it? Atamils, rest in peace. I remember in Kasua, there was a particular rally that they were doing, and somebody had to talk about this economy. And he was saying that sometime you need about using all the 3 years to prepare the tarmac. That was like an what they call it, the airport. They have now finished with the takeoff is an easy listen. And today, and you just come within 4 or 5 months, you are able to prepare and you have even taken off. And you believe the tarmac was not already prepared for you to come and take off. You came and met a good tarmac. That's why we were able to take off immediately. But we are praying that you are able to pilot us far, so that there will not be forced landing anywhere. Okay.
Inshallah, there won't be any forced landing.
So now I want to assure my brother that we are all rejoicing in the good performance of the city for now. But they should also listen to us when we are saying that these are some of the things. That because if you want to know the road ahead, ask those who come in. We are coming from where you are going, and we are telling you that this is how it is, this is how it is. Just listen to us, and then also see how best together we can manage this country. I've always said that whether it is NDC, it is NPP, or it is Afra-Franto, I hope I've mentioned. To Frank, I'm not an account, so when I want to mention it in the account, thank you. Yes, or whether it is Afra-Franto, and you are truly. The way my father is laughing, I don't think I'm pronouncing it right.
That's deliberately.
No. It's perfect.
Thank you. And forgive me if indeed I didn't pronounce it well. You see, whether any of these parties are in power and we are true Ghanaian, I don't see why you should be candid enough to speak to the facts. And then, because it's like a sailing boat. If you deceive the pilot and the pilot do not navigate well, all of us, if anything is going to happen, it will happen to all of us. Today, it will affect even more than him. Even me, the consumer, it will even affect me more than he, the manager, and the rest. But it is for the good of the country. And I think, I strongly believe that both my brother and the Don, they wouldn't be happy if today MPP is not able to perform again as an opposition party. They wouldn't be happy. Because it gives Ghanaians the best of governance.
We are praying you resolve your infight.
Oh no, inshallah, we have resolved it already. Inshallah, we will not say that there have not been problems. Of course, the government have a saying that if you have a sickness and you do not announce it, definitely you will never find its cure. So, yes, we agree that there are problems within the party, but inshallah, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are almost at the end of the whole distance, and will come out much stronger than before. But in conclusion, because I'm not a finance person, and sometimes I don't like to stay long where I'm not all that familiar with, especially the way the Don is just looking at me at the corner of his eye. I don't know what he's going to say. So, in conclusion, yes, we are happy that the city is doing well as we speak. And it is not the sole effort of this government that the city is performing as it is performing today. In fact, it actually stems out from the policies and programs that the previous government put in place. And and quite apart from that, don't forget that we are still doing the IMF this, and we are still not out of the distance. So that point is also giving us some sort of cushion against the dollar and other things. So until we are out of all these things, then we can now see that whether indeed what this current government is also putting in place is potent enough to propel the city to the heights that we all desire it to be.
Are you happy?
Great. Thank you. Thank
No,
you.
very happy. I wish the dollar can even come up to 1 cedi.
I will try and call Mama Pat.
Yeah. Thank you very
Mama
much.
Pat was not against the depletion of the dollar. I don't think. Maybe you are getting at that. Mama Pat at all. At all.
Thank you very much. Just two things. One, gold for oil policy is no longer running.
Yes.
But I think what you were trying to refer to was the gold purchase program that was being done by the Bank of Ghana.
Yes.
I think now they are reverting to the
gold for oil.
purchase.
All that our time
We used to
established.
siphon money from this country.
It gave birth to the
It
gold
was a
reserve.
fraudulent thing.
It
was a fraudulent thing.
No. But if we have
If you just join us, this is the man of all talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. And of course, we are live from the studios of Pan-African Television. We are discussing the matter of the CD's performance against the dollar, whether it is sustainable. I'll take the toss of lawyer Andrew Appiah Dankwa before I go to Nia Boyanan. Lawyer.
Yeah, so let me wish you a good morning. It's always a pleasure to be in my. He doesn't like to be called honorable. I call him honorable. Honorable's company. I haven't seen it done in a while. I was hoping that today at least he will change from white to off-white. But I see he's very faithful to the white. Maybe he balanced it with the black. So
I know guys like white.
everybody likes white.
But for them, they are traditional.
Most of at my house, we are supposed to only wear white.
It was just
Even with funerals,
You wear white.
we wear white. We
Why
don't
are you
do
supposed
black.
to wear only white?
We are like from a house of rabbis.
Oh, okay, I see.
it's just
White is good.
one man tried to bastardize white, otherwise white. That'll be another discussion. That'll be a discussion at the end. So don't worry, no law issues. We talk everything. Anyway, and wish your lovely viewers a good morning. I think we are excited, myself included. In fact, I think it was just about the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks when I realized that the dollar was. So I went to Kumasi, and then an auntie of mine, who is a businesswoman, she's in Germany, gave orders that they should go and sell all her euros, no, not dollar, all her euros. Otherwise, she is going to lose money. Then I was like, what's happening? So why are you not aware of what is happening? So I went to check. I think it was a week or two ago. I realized that, and happily so, that the dollar had dropped to 14 point something. So from that side, following the trajectory. And then surprised, I started hearing a whole lot of reasons why. That one, because of the gold purchase program, which began in, I think, May of last year, and it's still ongoing. Because of that, the dollar is reduced. And then my question was, for a program that started from May, if it was solely the reason, at least we should have seen some significant depreciation or appreciation of the CD before His Excellency John Mahama took over. Then mention was made of the US-China trade war. So I want to check that also. I realized that since the beginning of the year, the US dollar has depreciated up to about 5.1%. So I quickly calculated the rate of appreciation of the CD. And I realized that the US dollar has depreciated 15.1% against the CD. And so there's a clear difference of about 10. Then for me, what you told me was that it couldn't just have been the US-China trade war. Also, I quickly then checked the performance of the CD against the euro, and because if it was just the US, then it shouldn't be doing so well against the euro, against the pound. And I realized that also against the euro, against the pound, it's doing well. And so the issue is, the argument that is because of the so-called trade war or the overall depreciation of the cedi, of the dollar globally, cannot be the reason. Because in any case, just in Ghana, the dollar has depreciated by 15.1%. That is 10 points. So, then for me, sitting down, I recalled that last year, in most of our communication here, we all accepted, or I made a point, that what was at stake in the 2024 election was for us to restore confidence in the economy. You understand? Because of the terrible leadership or non-leadership of the previous government, we've gotten to stages where even basic principles in economics, I'm sure they will do a better job at that, he's a technical guy, basic, very, very fundamental principles that the economy 101, that the best place to, the most secured place to place your money, to loan your money, was government. And in Ghana, even that basic principle had been breached by the DDEP, where monies that people had given to the government in belief that that was the safest place to place their monies, had been breached, thereby killing the confidence the people of Ghana had in the economy. Because we need to understand that when it comes to the management of the economy, it's a confidence game. If your people lose confidence in your ability to manage your economy, the economy is gone. It's also important to put into perspective the fact that between 2016 and 2024, FDIs, foreign direct investments, reduced from almost $3 billion to about $600 million. So by the time Joanna was taking over, FDIs were around just about $600 million. You had the cocoa sector, which was practically dead. Because we all know that when the dollar is depreciating, you hear people say, oh, we are waiting for the syndication, about 2.1 billion. Last, I don't know whether any syndication was done. The confidence was so low that cocoa production had reduced drastically. Also, between January 7th and now, I don't think local production can be so significant as to also impact this radical appreciation of the cedi against the dollar. So the question is that what has happened? You understand? For me, I think when I analyze it, it reaffirms my belief in the very negative leadership of His Excellency Nana Addo. It's sad that the MPP is blamed because they also play their role. As a party, they sat down and allowed Nana Addo to deliver a leadership which, for all intents and purposes, is very parochial in nature. Their focus was not, or did not do things that was in the best interest of the country per se. They are following their personal agenda. And it's sad that today Mutala will sit here and say that the New Patriotic Party were fraudulent when they use the name patriotic. But that argument can be supported when you consider just the last 8 years. And it's sad that the party sat down and allowed such parochial leadership. Because when you consider intently why the city is appreciating, I think essentially my view is about the ingenuity by governments to create confidence in the economy by just some few statements. That statement that, listen, going forward, buffer stock, school feeding, or purchase locally produced products. What that did immediately was, without increasing production of anything, to reduce the demand on the dollar. Immediately. You reduce demand on the dollar. And it sent a signal. Well, I said, this is a confidence game. It sent a very positive signal that, listen, we are not going to, more or less, at least for that sector, depend on importation. So if you are holding dollar, or if you are going, that burden was taken away. Very, very smart. Now, also, if you consider that sometime in November, that's the Bank of Ghana. Because see, when obviously the don't easier, so you do a far better job. But when you define the economy in very basic terms, the state of every country in terms of its production and consumption of goods and services and the supply of money, and we know that the role that every government plays in every economy is one in terms of its fiscal policy, which the government itself does, as in the president through his finance minister, and monetary policy. And the monetary policy is done by the Bank of Ghana. So beyond the gold purchasing program, which really has led to the I think between May to now that there has been an increment from about between 22 tons to about 31 tons. Certainly that has helped. But also in November, I think Bank of Ghana brought a policy that restricted investments by pension funds into offshore accounts, into offshore markets. I think that policy has been maintained, and so like I said, this government, having analyzed the issues, have discarded off with programs which were not beneficial to the state, and have maintained, indeed have even enhanced those that were beneficial. You understand? And that's why when you are making the analysis, it boils down to leadership. Or it boils down to leadership that has the interest of the country at heart. Because whereas what was pushing one leader, you understand? And I hope the MPP will find a way of dealing with that issue. Because if you ask me, I think it's so, in a way, the party has to be blamed, but it's quite unfair that the party will have to take flak for a group of people's bad leadership. Because clearly you have one leader who, for now at least, over the past few months, 5 months in power, I can confidently say that they are pursuing programs that, in my view, are in the best interest of the country. You understand? And for 8 years, we were under a leadership that was forward by what was in their personal best interest. And so we are seeing this improvement in the performance of the city, not because there has been any, in my view, because within 4 or 5 years is a very short time, because already, in fact, I don't think the 24-hour economy and its benefits has even kicked in, because so far as I'm concerned, they are still putting together the framework. But this clear evidence of what can happen by a president giving proper leadership that builds the confidence of the people in the economy. Because over the past few years, people actually, I know people who, when they got their money, deliberately purchased dollar because they didn't trust in the city. They didn't trust in the city. So if after just 5 months, people are dumping their foreign exchange on the market, they rather have the city. You understand? Then we cannot take it for granted that it's a matter of luck. Clearly, people are responding to a better leadership. The market is responding. You understand? And so, if by just the provision of proper leadership, without necessarily increasing local productivity and all, can cause the city to respond in this manner, then we should be really angry at Anado for the terrible leadership they gave us. And we should commend the president, clearly. Because in my opinion, and like I'll say it again, I was saying it, maybe I'm sure we'll be bored. I know they don't, as you can see, you scribble some things, but you go into the technicalities. I see you scribble so many things here. You understand? But when some people say that leadership, everything's about leadership, and we are seeing clear evidence of saying. Because when you listen to Mutala from government, he didn't come and say that, oh, we've increased the production of poultry by this. We have increased the production of rice by this. But what he said clearly, and I think it's something we should pay attention to, that from President Kufuor's time up until when they left power in 2016, we're spending closely averagely around $500 million on the potential of just rice and poultry. Now that rose to about 3 billion. I don't think it has reduced drastically, because 5 months is too short a time to have a radical or a seismic reversion back to what it used to be. So if even without that, the CD has managed to rise up to about 15.1%. And just imagine what can happen where their campaign promise of bringing in place policies that one will reduce our dependency on the exportation of chicken, on the importation of rice can do. So I think it can maintain. I'm very hopeful. I hope it can maintain, because what it tells me is that whatever they are doing that is causing the city to gain strength, they must not change. In terms of whatever they are doing to cause people to be confident in the economy, they must not stop doing that. Also, the technical policies, like I mentioned, that policy to put some kind of to put restrictions on fund managers in investing in offshore, it should be maintained. The gold purchasing program, it should be increased, and the fiscal. Now they have undertaken a fiscal consolidation program also. All of these are the reasons why the city seems to be gaining strength. It means that indeed even the depreciation was probably artificial, because of bad leadership, terrible leadership. That's why the CD was at some point around October, it was around 17 CD. It went as low as 17.7 or so. So if within a space of about 7 months, it can rebound, not because we've increased productivity or anything, but because of the signal that has been given. That one, we are not going to import rice for feeding our schools. Buffer stock is not going to import rice. We are going to purchase locally made rice. If that reduction by just word, by just policy, can reduce demand, the pressure on the dollar, then they should maintain that. And if they're able to maintain that, because the question is, how do you sustain this? To sustain this is one, by just maintaining what you are doing that is causing a rebuild of the confidence of the people of this country in there. Because my brother here mentioned speculation, 100%. So it means that when the city got to 17 cities, 17.7, clearly the people of Ghana didn't have confidence in their own currency anymore.
People were changing more.
Yeah, so they rather store, what's it called, dollars, and they hoard it. But so they increasing the demand and reducing the supply. Already the supply was low because people, anytime so I'll just tax the president that one. He needs to indeed enhance what they are doing that is causing confidence to be built in the economy of this country. You understand? Now, having done that, then they must deliberately also undertake policies that will substitute, that will cause us to produce, and by so doing substitute the kind of things we import. So one, if we are spending around 3 billion on rice and on poultry, then clearly there must be clear policies that will increase the production of these two commodities. They must do that. They must also tackle the SME side, deliberately build the small and medium scale what's called enterprises. Because I believe strongly that, at least from what I've seen, that if we do the right things, maybe we can cause the dollar to even come into single digits. It's not the inflation that will come to single digit, but the dollar to come to single digit. And so for me, I think if there's a time to call for us to sing from the same hymn sheet, irrespective of your party. Understand? Because all these negative noises, and they will feel, and we don't need what's it called, rough land, and it doesn't help any of us. Because you can see the price of fuel dropping, not just because of this dollar issue. You understand? You can see, so it is in our collective interest that the economy does well. And like Bamia said, and he rightly said, that you can do all the propaganda you want. If your exchange rate is
when the fundamentals are weak,
the exchange rate will expose you. You understand? So if you go by that his principle, that means that the exchange rate, which is doing better, is reflective of the entire health of our economy. So I think, and my brother here, I know I've been in his party before, the party as it is now. I know when he comes and he praises the situation, don't be too happy with him. But at least he tried to balance the act. So he prays some more, but you also point some more. You understand? We are so that at least the party, the Hawks, won't come after him. They don't myself were there before, so we understand you. But we are just in 2025. Yes, we are in 2025. See, there's time when you play partisan politics, and there's time when you build. And to build is not just the duty of the party in power to build. It's all of our duty as Ghanaians to build this country. So if we have correct leadership, it's clearly showing the way, then I think it's just wise that we all lend our support, we all lend our energies in that effort to build the country. Because, like I said, and I'm going to reiterate it, that in my opinion, this massive performance of the CD so far is just because of leadership in rebuilding confidence. But I shouldn't stop there. We must now put in place the building blocks that will enhance our productivity, that will put us in a place where we can sustainably have inflows of this foreign what's called exchange. You understand? To further drive down the city, to build that strong economy where all of our individual ambitions can find place in. And to do that, the president should continue providing the way, he should continue giving the right policies, as in he can borrow from our great, already we have given him a copy, the great transformational plan. As mentioned SME, as in deliberately aiding SMEs, enhancing or creating a system where we can have real growth. Once we do that, then I believe that not only are we going to sustain this, but we are going to bring the dollar down further for all of our benefits. So I think for me it's an appropriate time to call on all Ghanaians that let's come together, let's sing from the same hymn sheet. Let's build our country and let's create a situation where Ghana will be in the best position to reclaim its place as the Black Star of Africa.
Thank you very much. And so far there's been limited commentary from the Bank of Ghana, but the one we've heard has been from the first deputy governor who says this is not a fluke. They intend to do anything, all they can, to ensure that these gains continue. But Absa Bank is saying that they are still projecting that the CD will finish to the dollar, the rate to be 14 cedis. This is their projection, that the CD will end the year at 14 cedis to the dollar. That's from Absa. But this is the Bank of Ghana, two statements that they've issued. One is about the CD, and they said on 19 July 2025, the CD will mark 60 years as Ghana's sole legal tender since its issuance on 19 July 1965 to replace the Ghanaian pound as the sole legal tender in Ghana. The CD has remained a strong symbol of Ghana's economic sovereignty and development. To adapt to the changing demands of the Ghanaian economy, the CD has evolved through several modifications in form and policy direction over the last 6 years. Ghana's tenacity, innovation, and quest for economic stability are well embodied in the CD's reforms, from the first notes and coins to the safe currency we use today. In recognition of this important milestone, the Bank of Ghana intends to commemorate the 60th anniversary of the issue of the CD with a series of nationwide activities and engagements between July and December 2025, including official launch events, public exhibitions, educational campaigns, and stakeholder forums. The anniversary offers an opportunity for Ghanaians to reflect on the history of the city, to celebrate the progress made, and to reaffirm our collective responsibility to protect the value and integrity of the city. In addition to being a medium of exchange, the city is a symbol of our pride, heritage, and shared aspirations for a prosperous future. The evolution of the city reflects Ghana's resilience, innovation, and pursuit of a robust economy. Those are portions of that statement. Then there's another statement that was issued by the Bank of Ghana. This one was on what happens, restrictions to the use of the dollar within the economy. This is what the Bank of Ghana says. It says, pursuant to the Bank of Ghana's mandate under the Foreign Exchange Act 2006 at 723 and associated notices, the Bank of Ghana wishes to inform the public as follows. I, over-the-counter cash withdrawals in foreign currency from foreign exchange accounts and foreign currency accounts are allowed. For non-FEA and non-FCA account holders, foreign purchases for travel outside Ghana are allowed but capped at $10,000 or its equivalent per person per trip. This must be supported by a valid passport, visa, and confirmed travel ticket as indicated in BOG notice number. The notice dates back to 2014 in September. Checks and checkbooks may continue to be issued on FEA and FCA accounts. The bank has not contemplated reviewing these existing measures. All banks and public are advised to take note and comply accordingly. Of course, I'll read your statements at the conclusion of this very first discussion about what you think about this whole discussion about the cedi performing very well against the major trading currency. Exactly what is in it for you, and then whether that can be sustained. What does that mean? Because we're asking for reduction in prices. Traders are also fighting back, saying that they haven't seen enough to convince them to start reducing prices. Me, good morning.
Good morning, Sena. Let me greet your viewers and those listening on radio. Also to greet my colleagues here, Honorable Mutala. It's been a while. I think he has been busy. And my brother here, Lawyer Pierre Dampa. And then Sabo.
Do you know the meaning of Sabo?
No.
Yeah, he's never told you.
No, he's never told.
Something new.
Okay. Oh, I see. Then something new really has happened. Well, I think that it's refreshing. What is going on? It's very refreshing. We'll want to go back in terms of history of the cedi and how we got here. I mean, the cedi has had many tribulations in the past. We were using the West African pound sterling, and at that time the cedi was not in existence. I think it was under our first president that the cedi came into existence, and when the cedi was introduced, it was a strong currency against the US dollar. In fact, it was, you need more dollars. You need about 1.5 dollars to obtain one cedi, because at that point the cedi was pegged against the pound sterling. Then subsequently there was change of government and all that. We had what we call the new cedi. The decision also to peg the cedi against the US dollar and further deteriorated and all that. It was only in the Achampon regime that we saw some appreciation of the cedi against the US dollar, and that was when President Kutu Achampon also decided that the cedi be pegged with gold. Okay. So you can see where it has come from, and the mention of gold back then and the mentioning of gold today. Okay. Well, again, in 2016, under the ex-royal government of President Nana Akufo-Addo, I mean, the NDC bequeathed $4.0969 dollar rate to the new government of led by Nana Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia, who had promised to do better. Now, better means that reversing the trend, that the cedi would see an appreciation and not a depreciation. At the same time, in May, the cedi had already depreciated by 3% in 2017 May. So today's narratives are not the same as yesterday's. That point must be made and must be made clearly. As to whether somebody did part of the job or not, government, we all understand, is a going concern. At the end of the day, if whatever you did not reflect under your government, then you should be asking yourself certain questions. Why did it not reflect? Why did I take gold from 2022, gold reserve around 3 billion to 31 billion and still did not get the results? That question needs to be answered by yourself. I think the NPP need a lot of introspection to do and ask themselves a lot of questions. Why did they not, and not really waste time with what is going on? I think they need to ask themselves, and it will help them to recover from wherever they find themselves in. By December 2018, the cedi had depreciated close to about 17%, right? And I choose 2018 for a reason, because by the time in 2019 when the NPP was out of the IMF program, what they did was to go out there and borrow, and they were borrow more of backed US dollar debt. And that also puts a lot of pressure on our currency. Mind you, we are out of the international markets, and therefore whatever we are doing today, we are depending solely on our cedi in terms of the OMO operations by BOG and what have you. So we are not out there borrowing and increasing our debts, albeit we have also deferred debt payment in terms of foreign currencies. So yes, we have that space. And I would again go back to our exports and imports. Imports have dwindled. It's coming down. As compared to export that is going up, what it means is that we are experiencing more inflow of foreign currency today than the evacuation of US dollars or demand on the US dollars for us to settle our bills and all that. Again, I have heard the mentioning of gold for oil, gold for oil. Again, I will say there was nothing like gold for oil. And this is not my statement, and I wish I could read from the 2022 annual report of Bank of Ghana, when they did say, in fact, that the gold for oil is linked with the gold purchase program, and for that matter, they are either going to do it through barter or a broker channel. True barter is that for the want of convenience, you have gold, I have oil. You need my oil and I need your gold, and therefore we exchange, and it is convenient for all of us. Albeit that will still have been done by a unit of account, which would have been the US dollar. Now, the Bank of Ghana specifically mentioned in I think note 41 of their annual report, that we have chose to do this by a broker channel. Which broker is it? Go to 12B of the Bank of Ghana's annual report 2022, and they have stated that they put our gold, about 155,000 ounces of gold, forward for financing at the BSI, the Bank for International Settlement, and we were paying interest of 4.5% per annum. So that was a financing. Again, although gold was mentioned, that was still like going out there to borrow and pay interest, which all puts a pressure on the economy in terms of the demand for USD and what have you. Today, as we speak, gold prices are high. On the rise, and it is so because of what is happening on the international stage. Cocoa have seen a lot of improvement in pricing as well, and all that culminates in the fact that we have about monthly imports, export of about 2 billion, as against an import of about between 1.2 1.5 billion. So certainly the narratives then are not the same as today. A lot of people have also mentioned the fact that the dollar performance, when you check the dollar index, the DXY and all that, shows that the dollar has fallen. Yes, the dollar fell a year ago around between 5 to 7%. Not against the cedi, not against the naira. The DXY is not based on any of these currencies, including ours. It is based on the yen, the euro, the crown, and other currencies, the Canadian dollar, and what have you. That is the baskets that is used in measuring the dollar strength. So when we talk of the DXY, it is not really about the cedi. So you can have the dollar falling against these other currencies that in the basket, and yet it will not fall against your currency. What is happening today, and like you said, pull or push, what is happening today is basically demand. We have enough to satisfy the demand of the system, and therefore there is no need to hustle, to go out there looking for more dollars at a certain price, which then becomes a higher price to buy the US dollars. So this is purely based on demand. Now, the issue we need to ask ourselves is that, what has government done, and why the results we are getting? Today, if you go to our treasury bill market, right, inflation sits at 21%. Our MPR rate is 28%. We have BOG issuing the 56 days bond, almost I think around 26%. You have the 91 day around 14-15%, the 100, but when you look at the 365, it provides a returns for you in terms of inflation, which is around 25%. So yes, people are more prepared to put their money in time savings than to put their money in currency. So we must also admit that in this short period, we have been able to sustain a better positioning in terms of our M2 plus, how we have handled money. We have not increased money like before, when money was increased to about 35%. And with this country history, anything beyond 16%, we begin to have issues. Then we talk of the gold board. I think the gold board is too new to have its, to have itself meddled in these issues. But what we must talk about is our gold exports. The volumes have all of a sudden increased. Why? If the volumes have increased, it means that these volumes were there already. If you understand gold production, it doesn't take a day to produce that volume of gold. So these volumes were there already. These volumes were being exported already. Probably it was not through the appropriate channels. And now it is going through the appropriate channels. And the currency is coming directly, the foreign currency is coming directly through the formal channel and sitting with our reserves. And therefore, that also helps a lot in terms of what we are seeing today. Clearly, you cannot take it away from the physical side as well. When we have put expenditure in check, the cause of our economic overheating has always been caused largely by the physical side. I think expenditure is being controlled better than it used to be. And that is helping issues. And then again, you can clearly see that the physical side has not dominated the monetary policy side. In the past, that's not what we saw. We saw a finance minister who wielded so much power that his decision at the physical side was really affecting our monetary policy, and yet those at the monetary side couldn't do anything about it. Here you feel that yes, the synergy between the two in terms of monetary policy and fiscal policy, it's something which is good and must continue. The moment one becomes an oppressor of the other, then we would have issues. So you could clearly tell in the past that the physical side demands more money, so the BOG went ahead and actually produced more money for government to spend. And that was part of the issues we have had in the past. It is not the same today. And that is good, and that is also helping the position we find ourselves in. The other issue we would have to look at is how sustainable would this experience going forward look like. I know that there will be more pressure on the physical side going forward to spend. I also know that there would come a time when there will be more pressure on the monetary side to also finance the activities of the physical. I know that there will be a greater call on our reserves. We have built reserves to the tune of over 9 billion, which is good, looking at the past, what we had done. But there will be a claim on government. There are obligations government going into the future must actually stand up to it and face it. And that will bring pressures. It is good today. We are enjoying what we are experiencing, but there will come a tough time. What we need to do to sustain it is to create buffers today for tomorrow. So the reserves we are putting up, the gold that is giving this economy, the investors of this economy, some comfort and confidence that they can deal with us. They can bring money in and all that in their private capacity and know that we have enough gold to actually weather the storm if it comes. All this, there will be pressure on going forward. What are the buffers we need to create? We need to make sure that when we are done with this IMF program, we don't recklessly go onto the international market to borrow again, like it was done between 2019 and 2020. We must make sure that we close down on our overall deficit in terms of the fiscal side. We must continue with our OMO operations with the Bank of Ghana and ensure that at all times we finance whatever project we want to finance internally rather than externally. It is sweet to have the loans coming in when they are dollars and all what have you, but it comes with a larger responsibility to take on. We should also put our M2 plus, our money supply, in check. We should ensure that at all times we go for the appropriate policies, not to deplete our demand deposits and shore up our foreign currency deposits, because that is exactly what happened somewhere in February 2022. And also, we should manage speculation and manage it well. Those handling our various institutions in terms of the fiscal and monetary, between the finance ministry, between the finance ministry and the BOG, the language should always be right, not to cause any panic. Because as we speak today, if there is any run on the US dollar today, the rates will start going up again. No matter the reserves you have there, if there should be a run today on the dollar and we all panic and say, hey, it looks like it's going to go up and blah, 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 blah. Like what you read from APSA, yes, it's a nice warning, but it is not needed. It is a very good warning. It is most possible that that is going to happen. Okay. Getting to the end of the year, from August and all that, there will be pressure. People will start importing more towards Christmas and all that and what have you. But it is not needed, because if we do well to sink the rate downwards, coming up, right, to a certain level will take some time and space, and it affords us a good planning environment when that happens. But when you start throwing this in the open, then it also creates issues for the same economy. What we need to understand is that demand is low. Okay. We have good buffers today. Our reserves are solid. There is no pressure on government to spend in terms of USD and other foreign currencies, and therefore we are enjoying it. Let's enjoy it and let's entrench it going forward. And let us also know that clearly this is a clear departure of the yesteryear narrative that says that because it is 3%, I have done better than the other. When you take up the mandate, it is for you to reduce it. Reduce my pain. That is when you have done something. But don't say that I have increased it by 3%, and it is better than your increment of something, some 4% or 5%, so I have done better. This is what we call better. And this is the yardstick for measuring who is performing well and who is not performing well. Let me end with the talk about this global issue of tariff.
The tariff war.
I mean, let us not mention anything about the tariffs in Ghana, in relation to Ghana and what we are experiencing. Let us not mention anything at all about it. And this is the reason. If our women are going to China today, they don't go there with the, is it the yuan?
Yuan, yeah.
They don't go there with the yuan. They still go there with the USD. In fact, China is still on the international SWIFT system. All our manufacturers who are dealing with China are still paying dollars. So let us not bring the tariffs in. I don't think that the yuan is performing better against the US dollars. It is not. In fact, if you want to talk about the US dollars and what can really affect the US dollars, is that the quarter of the value of the US dollars, right, is based on the rest of the world, what we have invested in the US. Monies we have put in their companies and all that, shareholdings that other nationals have in Apple, have in, all these firms. That is what makes the US the US. That is what makes them tick. If we should withdraw, that is worth over 50 trillion. The US economy will crash. If the rest of the world, most of the Saudi money you are seeing is sitting behind US companies.
Yeah.
It's even in football. So we should understand that this tariff business has really very little to do with us. And let us stop talking about, oh, it is because of the tariffs. It's so elementary and ignorant to, excuse my language, to say that these tariffs are the reason why we are saying what we are saying. It is not. It is not at all. In fact, like my brother said, our trade with the US is not that big.
Yeah, small.
Right? So what are your concerns really with the tariffs? And even if you are talking about the tariffs, they are still on the table. Perhaps with China, they are even about reaching an agreement. I am saying about for a reason, about reaching an agreement. So let us not talk about what tariffs and whatever has happened to us. That conversation, we are not part of it. We will be part of it when the US directs its arsenals to us and say, okay, even the little you bring to me as an import on this, on that, in fact, we are putting these tariffs on it. And it hurts their economy more because it is an increase of price for their economy and not to ours. If we are importing and we are putting tariffs beyond 10% on US goods, when we bring the US cars here, the tariffs on it are high, we all know. Right? And so we somewhat are benefiting from whatever tariffs we enjoy from the US and what we charge here. But we are not really a major business partners with the US, and therefore these things should be put. We can talk of it when we are talking global issues and all that, but when it comes to Ghana specific, let's put aside this tariff issue because it really does not affect us that much, and let's focus on the things that we are doing right today that is giving us results. And that means that we have to keep our production of goods and services that goes for exports. We must keep it flowing, and we must ensure that the basis of these things are actually generated from our economy directly. And we must guard against our exports. Guard against our exports in the volumes we are producing, not in prices, because in price we do not determine the price. Today, because of the crisis we are having generally in the world, and with all the wars that is going on and what have you, we may be enjoying something we may not enjoy when there is quietness all on this globe. We may not enjoy that again. And therefore, let's actually build our buffers going forward. Because for me, whether NPP or NDC, operating as a business within a very conducive environment is always the best. And therefore, I really do not put color on economic performance. I will certainly put color when the economy is not performing, because the responsibility of every government is to ensure that they have created an enabling environment for businesses to thrive and for the economy to succeed. That is not what we saw in the past. What we are seeing in these few months is what we actually bring in governments to do. But let's guide against being complacent going forward. Let's make sure that we sustain this for the next 4 years. And if we are able to sustain this, I think our business outlook in this country will change drastically, and that will take us to the next phase of our development. And that is what we should all pray, and our brothers should come on board for us all to sustain it going forward. That is what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In fact, one of the biggest accusations the US keeps leveling against China is that they keep their currency devalued. The Chinese like their currency to be weak because it is the base of their production. As long as their currency is always weaker, their exports are always cheaper.
Yes.
And so, very interesting. But thank you very much. Let me read some of the comments that you're sending to us on our very first discussion. Let me start from this one from Paul Aflauketu South, who says, what is wrong with the MPP party at all? They can't see the reality even if the writings are clear on the wall. They call themselves New Patriotic Party, but are never patriotic in any way. And I hear the MPP communicator crediting IMF. Has he forgotten so soon about Kenneth Oriata? We are not going to IMF today, we are not going to IMF tomorrow, because the consequences are dire. The consequences are terrible. He was quoting, oh, MPP, when will you be patriotic for once as claimed? Right from J. Kufuor to Nanado, MPP doesn't have any good intentions for Mother Ghana. MPP never again. As Paul Stotts sent that from Aflau. There's also this one coming from Snet, who says, Sena, if President Mahama is able to deal with our currency issue internally, not only when he is in power, but 99 years after he leaves office, the goals will register his achievement as what Ghana needed in the book of records. All trading and monetary calculations must be done in Ghana cedis. So now, is it true that it's difficult to do business and some calculations in Ghana cedi even after the redenomination of the cedis? The 20 pesos our total drivers and traders are throwing it away. I have seen the president going on a thank you tour. The actual thank you tour should be at Tami Jemfi's office as he pulls his ears. There's so much work to do that 4 years under President Mahama is too small. Though government is a continuum, we don't know the character that comes after GM. Public officials has a way to behave. So I mean, if he has given the president an opportunity to solve an internal problem and also expose the public response, especially opposition parties, enemies, neutral, etc., if our president fails. We must remember that the ex-president, after criticizing him too much, told us that the next president will solve our problems. Finally, Sena, can the state give all political parties some few months after election to wrap up anything to do with the general election except for criminal activities? That's net. This one says, Mr. Rose, the city resurgence against the major trading currency is as a result of prudent and pragmatic mechanism being put in place by President John Dramani Mahama-led administration. In the last 4 months, they've been in political office. Austerity measures coupled with cutting down of excessive public expenditure all yielding positive outcome and improvising goodwill in the Ghana's improving goodwill in Ghana's fiscal ecosystem, not the gold reserve board set up by Eswa Akufo-Addo Bawumia regime, neither by geopolitical factors or trade war between U.S. and other neighboring nations that made the city to appreciate in its current form. Ghana is working again under the stellar leadership of President John Dramani Mahama, written by, there's Ernest Everlove Kwashi, who is in Dansoman. Thank you for that comment. This one says, good morning, Sena. Atofosan has challenged Bawumia in terms of economy and proved Ghanaians that Bawumia is totally a failed economist. Thank you, sends a good morning to Honorable Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed. That's Anafi, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Is it Anafi? Yeah, Anafi. In Tamale Central constituency. Positive change in Medina says, all of a sudden, the MPP that was booted out of power just few months ago think they can lecture Ghanaians on good governance. You people were giving out envelopes to voters in broad daylight. We even saw Nanado take a bribe with his two hands like a goalkeeper in a goalpost, and you think you can side the public against a hard-working government who is performing wonders and transforming the economy in few months. Positive change sent that from Medina. Some more. Good morning, and you're wonderful. My name is Evans Bayo from Nandom, and economic indicators raised by this gentleman attached should be revisited. This is the position taken by the African Development Bank. Its projects and program. Please let us be serious as a nation. Close to 100 years now. Why are we doing seesaw game with over the 33 million Ghanaians? The NPP versus NDC rules. What cost elements indicated that used to drive our city higher against the dollar that have been removed or produced in Ghana here? Example, military equipment, vehicles, poultry feed, etc. Hence leading to the dramatic reduction of the dollar against the CD. I think he was referring to the comments of lawyer Andrew Apia Dankwa. This one says, good morning. Sarah Sender from Nyamiche and La Paz. We are not having water for the past 2 years now. We are appealing to the government to come to our aid. So that's a water issue. There's this one from Idrisu who says, good morning. What I'd like to say to the NDC is doing well, but we are waiting for former Finance Minister, Mr. Oforiatta, to come home and tell us as Ghanaians where taxpayers' money are. OSP is not active as it used to be. Thank you very much. He reminding us of a former Finance Minister. There's this one guy, in fact, of late, whenever and wherever the MPP folk speaks, then wisdom laughs. I only see their envy all over the place, speaking but saying nothing meaningful, no worth of any sort. The MPP should sit down quietly and watch the proper governance in place, which is actually by the people, of the people, and for the people. Under the leadership of DMNDC, Ghana's future is bright and promising. Independence is here for Ghanaians. The person did not attach a name. This one says, sustainability of the cedi against the US dollar is it's early days yet. We have to use it appreciativity to build a foundation in agriculture and a poultry production, driving towards Operation Feed Yourself policy. Sugoke Ibrahim Loho, sender from Nadoli Kaleo. Thank you. This one says, good morning. I say, okay. Let the MPP in opposition know that for them, they rule their MPP when they come into power by making their members rich, not Ghanaian citizens. So they should take their name out of the better performance of the NDC. GM should try to silence them, else they will sabotage his government again. Those are just some of the comments you're sending to us on the very first discussion we have had. And thank you very much for sending in those comments. Keep them coming. And because if you're joining us on YouTube and Facebook, also comment on the issues we are discussing. We're just discussing the matter of the CD. Now let's move on to another issue. Very interesting issue, of course, connected to dollars. It's the gift that was given by Sami Jemfi to the woman, Agrada. People had many problems. People in the NDC were happy that he should have given that. Why did he give that money to Agrada? Where was it Agrada? People had issues with why was he giving dollars? There are many issues that people raised. Well, the presidency, after listening to all these complaints, summoned him Presidency said he issued an apology. They accepted the apology, cautioned him not to let that repeat itself again, and then they've decided that they'll take no further action. Now this week, I think one man has been on my mind, and I guess it's your lawyer, Andrew Dankwa, not because of the Samidi issue, but interestingly because of the Edu Boy issue, when he was threatening that he was going to spill the beans, release all the secrets. And I remember that you've always talked about oaths and it's the value we place on the oath we take. But that's just by the way. But I wanted to start with you on the Samidi issue, that's all.
Samidi issue, anyway. So, this is my honest view about this. That there were a number of things I took from the whole saga. Referring to me, and then I talk about oath. If we could also speak about accountability, about us creating a political culture where the citizenry will participate, where we would tolerate diverse views and hold political leadership accountable. I think, without going into whether he was right or whether he was wrong, passing judgment, I think it was very refreshing the manner the people of Ghana responded in terms of demanding for accountability and all. I think I don't think we are quite there yet, but at least is a very small step in terms of how willing the people of Ghana are in participating in this democratic experiment. Also, another thing that has become pretty clear is the standards that will be judged with if you're a private person is totally different from if you are a public officer. Because really, how can somebody being an act of, let's say, generosity, you understand, giving somebody money, and in fact, when you hear the story around it, that he advised her as in how she handled issues, and then when she asked for what's called for, we also as in and then she snatched. Right. So for me, it tells me that listen, when you're a public officer, the standards that you'll be held by will be higher, and when you're a public officer is also the optics are important. I think that's pretty clear. And I think that also I think is worthy of emphasizing is the speed with which he came to apologize. As in, he could easily have decided, at least I'm going to defend this. He put his salary on the table and said, this is how much I earn, and pay how much I earn. I think the money that attached, but he recognized that he's a public figure, so it's not about whether how much you earn, and also the speed of the apology, and then also the speed of government in inviting him to come and explain himself. I think they are important to note, and I hope that he learns from it. We all learn from him. Having said that, my only issue, negative issue, in my opinion, has to be the sheer disregard for principle on the part of the opposition. Fundamental lack of principle, in the sense that attempts have been made to compare this issue with the what's it called, Sister Rapa issue, without even going into the merits or not of that comparison. You understand? It is very surprising for anybody who defended Sister Rapa to want to condemn this, to the extent that press conferences have been had, and I don't want to go into the merits or not of the comparison, because it is quite funny to compare one. In fact, you should even compare. No monies have been found in what's called. You understand? Now, you see, our issue is Sister Rapa even went beyond she being a public officer, but we have an anti-money laundering law that says that you should be able to account for every money that is in your possession. You understand? Because I've heard arguments that has Ghana complained of any lost monies, and then no, and that is not the issue. The issue is the so-called 1 million and the euros and all those things. Can you justify how you came by them? And so, if you can't defend that, and then suddenly you want to call press conferences and then be demanding for somebody to be sacked because he dashed somebody $800. I think this issue of principle sadly has come to the fore in so many issues over the last 5 months, especially with the minority caucus in Parliament. I think the time for principle to rule our politics is now. If your position is A, you should be A, because principles don't really change unless you come and say that what's called you have changed. I know my brother here was saying that people are trying to run away from the Dankwa Buzia tradition. You understand? But in terms of principle, in terms of the principle of liberal democracy that we believed in, I for one and the movement have said it clearly that we have not departed from those ideals. And I'm making that example because really principles don't change. The principles don't change. Maybe the application may change, but the principle itself doesn't change. So that if your position is that Sena did no wrong when we found all those monies in a house, then on the basis of principle, what will be the basis for you calling for Sammy Jeffrey's head only because he's dashed $800? There's no way to defend, like I said, the optics of it, because you are a politician, and so that's why in the light of the code of conduct and a clear direction. So, Mazen, not to talk too much, because our time is fast spent. For me, my takeaway is one, that clearly the people of Ghana are going to hold our political leaders to a very high standard now, and that the standards that you'll be held by when you are, well, suppose I dashed $800, I don't think it would have been an issue. You get a picture. To be held by high standard, but also it is important that politicians are driven by principle also. I'm sure these are minority people who want Sammy Jeffrey's head. I'm sure they've been dashing more than that. You heard Abapapo say that people have been trained even more than that, because they've been sharing more than that. Yeah. So let us be guided also by principle. Because when they did their press conference, I think on Tuesday, or Tuesday or Wednesday, the response was there for them. Because I deliberately followed Joy FM. There are about 1,000 comments, and more than 95% did not see the wisdom or felt that clearly these are people who have departed from their fidelity to principle. So we need to, in this resetting Ghana, we need to have a breed of politicians who are driven by their faithfulness, their fidelity to the values of principle, than to these petty politics. But at the end of the day, all politicians in this country must know that there's a new Ghana and there's a new Ghanaian in town. And that new Ghanaian is going to hold them to a very high standard, and that they should always be mindful of that we give you the power to serve. And in that regard, we are going to hold them really accountable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, this Seidu says excellent submission by Nia Boyan, and he has really educated me this morning. Proper financial and economic analysis. There's also Koblavio Pokwasi Bengazi, who says all the cocaine cases and corruption cases that took place in MPP government are more grievous than Sammy Jeffrey's dollars giveaway case. However, MPP has taken Sammy Jeffrey's case personal. They want it to become a big case so that Ghanaians will forget about the bad things they did. Mami Cecilia Abena Dapa, Kobna Edu Boahin, and Charles BC, who have corruption cases, are walking around as free persons. So MPP should let Sammy Jeffrey's name rest. Thank you. Abbas Amogobo in Ofinsu is also joining us, saying a good morning to us. The president is resetting Ghana towards a better direction, but he must look at his appointment well. Giving appointment to undeserving is a political sin. We are killing the spirit of the party grassroots. That's Abbas Amogobo, who has other things on his mind. Thank you very much. Okay. There's also Hadi in Pig Farm, who is also joining us, says, good morning. President John Dramani Mahama is very much on course and focused on executing the better Ghana agenda, and is paying no attention to all the ugly noises that is being made by the nagging People's Party, aka the MPP, even though President Mahama and the great NDC can solve all the problems of Ghana, but their humility is earning them favor before the good people of Ghana. People are not complaining, not because their problems are solved, but are happy they have a humble and listening leader. As for the Nagging People's Party, your pride alone, peace Ghanaians of under all your so-called leadership, Galamsey has worsened and destroyed Mother Ghana. Sabo and his people are never learning and want to ask to bring you back to power. Not now. You stay in opposition for another 20 years, inshallah. That's from Hadi, who sent that from Pig Farm. Don.
Yes. Well, with the issue of these gifts given and the backlash that came and all that, I think it's been dealt with extensively. I would actually wish that as a country and as a people, we take a firm decision going forward, because some of the things that we do are deep-rooted in our culture. When you go and visit somebody you revered, in the north they take what, calabash of cola, and if you understand what cola is back then, cola was a currency for them. You understand? Their Akans will drag a goat or a sheep to the king's palace, right? We Gans have our own as well. You take a huge fish or something nice. The British spoiled us early, so we have these white calicos and all that we package nicely and gift them out. Now, this culture we have transformed it drastically, and instead of worrying ourselves with cola and what have you, these days we have converted all into money. So as politicians, we go to churches, and even if the eyes did not see or the cameras did not capture, we go and give money. We give money. We give you sums of money. Right? I can't tell which currency though. And I will not be surprised that we are all guilty of that particular incident that recently happened by even giving dollars. In any case, it's a legal tender, it's an international currency. So having it in your pocket and sitting right with you that you would part with it just to as a gift to someone of appreciation, for me, I don't see anything wrong with it, because I will be a #1 culprit.
Seriously, I almost mentioned his name. I almost mentioned his name. I don't know that to all you.
So I will not sit here and pretend that we don't do it. We do it. Going forward, for me, I think the issue should not be really about, Samidi feel this, Samidi feel that. It was the presidency did nothing and what have you. I think the issue now is, do we accept that culture of us going to places and dishing out gifts is wrong, so that we can all put a stop to it? And I'm sure it will provide a relief to some of us, our pockets. we will humbly accept that. But if we believe that it sits right with our norms, then we should define the appropriate means of doing it. I shouldn't give it on the road, close to my car, in my car. I should declare it. Where should I declare it? Because there are a lot of difficulties with this. Just imagine me. I'm not serving in government. All of a sudden, I wake up one day and I see myself serving in government. Then I'm restricted from doing something I used to do already. Just because of these incidents. Or because of the presence of cameras. Or who I choose to give to. So now we have relationships with people unknown to a lot of persons outside politics. I have very good friends in the NPP. I have good friends almost everywhere. I have unknown to our normal politics. I have friends in Tamale who always send me guinea fowl and what have you. People don't know them, that they are close to me. Now, if I should meet such a person, and because of the relationship that has existed between us, I decided to give a token or give that person something in appreciation of how the person have related to me, and you standing at the back, not aware of what sacrifices such a person have even done for me in the past, and you therefore judge it as improper, inappropriate, then there is an issue. So for me, it is time we all defined how we can show appreciation in this country, especially with our political actors. Because somebody can, by extension, say that, oh, he has never seen me before, never experienced me in that regard before, and tomorrow he sees me doing something, he says, you see, since their party came to power, these days he's been gifting US dollars. When in fact, I'm guilty as charged severally in the past, and not even under my government. How are we going to actually narrate that in this context we find ourselves in? And therefore we should tread cautiously, very cautiously, because tomorrow it may be somebody else. And if the standard by which we have crucified Savage Efi, or that he did not actually handle the matter well and all that, I mean, if it should happen with any other person again, what would be our position? So for this matter, yes, I understand that it is more of an issue which is settled, but going forward, should we give in appreciation using cola, a calabash of cola, or should we still continue doing it in monetary terms, whether cedis or dollar? It may end at the same thing. If you give the person $800 and I gave the person $500, we have done the same thing. We have done the same thing. The value is the same. It is the act that I feel that we should find a way, if we believe it is wrong, to knit it up, so that we will all know how to proceed going forward. In any case, some of us would have wished that they say totally don't give at all, because that will save a lot of the political costs we incur when it is up for elections. Or, Sabo, you don't agree?
Thank you very much, Nick. And I'll come to you shortly, Sabo, because your party is still being very critical of the way the matter has been handled. This is this is from Dr. Nyawonya Otamakula. It looks like he's just forwarded to me 2 comments he made on this issue. The first one, I think, is earlier. No, the second one is earlier. It says, I'm deeply troubled by Sammy Jeffin's recent actions as CEO of Gold Board. This new government, still in its early days, has made commendable efforts to give young people opportunities. However, Sammy's behavior as a young government appointee gifting dollars to Agrada raises serious questions about his judgment. The receiver's actions, in my view, seemed manipulative and trickster-like. Given the circumstances, I strongly believe Sammy should prioritize setting a positive example and consider resigning to uphold the integrity of his office and to maintain public trust. That was the first one. This is also another position. Says Ghana needs a culture of resignation. Sammy Jemfi's situation highlights a broader issue. When public officials are involved in controversies, taking responsibility and stepping down can help restore public trust. Accountability and integrity should guide our leadership. It's essential for our leaders to take responsibility for their actions and set positive examples for the future. Thank you, Doc. There's Musa Batua who says, and I essentially agree with Honorable Mutala. It's abundantly clear the city is gaining strength. Ghana is working again and reset agenda is on course. The unprecedented achievement and 120 days of President Mahama's days MPP. Well, I lost the rest of that. And there are many comments just coming in on this matter. There's also Rose. Okay. This one is from David Sena Keta. Sena, Sammy's giving money to Agrada should not make people angry. It was a step in the right direction. Was it because he gave it in the open? For the fact that Sammy willingly gave money to his supposed opponent made it a crime? What if it was any other person? One thing is that Sammy is a thorn in the flesh of the MPP. Many just hate the boy Sammy just because of the grace of God upon his life, and nobody can take it away from him. Sammy, keep cool. God is with you in this ministry of giving. Kudos. Don't lose faith. Remember, whatever that is good in you attracts attack. That's coming from Davis, and I will send that from Keta. Thank you for that message. This one is about Ghana is happy that the city is stable and hope they should keep doing the right thing to maintain it. Ghanaians are waiting to see the OSP to be proactive. Kobna, thank you very much. Genesis Akwete says the conduct of Sammy as a public officer, especially given the caliber of person he is, and the new wind of governance was indefensible. It was, however, good that he noticed that forthwith on the back of the public criticism and apologized as such. It was also good that the presidency took the bullet the hard way to protect his bright political career, probably because his conduct could not have been readily linked to any act of corruption, and can only hope that he learnt his lessons the hard way and never repeats such act of indiscretion again, as I hope that other young appointees also learn from his experience. That said, the hypocrisy of the MPP in this was mind-boggling to suggest that all too soon Ghanaians might have forgotten how this country was never governed but ruled by them, where everything under the earth was possible. But for their utopian narcissistic disposition, the MPP's duplicity is incredibly nauseating to say the least. Shalom. Denisiao Akwete. Yes, Steve, who says, it was Agrada who signaled the cameraman to come. If you watch the video carefully, it was a trap set by the MPP. That's Stephen from Kwabenya, who sent that. Then there's also this one says, Mr. Ho, the young astute lawyer Sammy Jemfi has a good and generous heart for lending support to people in dire need in both private and public. But it's quite deranging and disappointing to see him publicly dashing out huge sums of dollars to this seemingly charlatanic individual, parading herself in public as a woman of God. Whilst scores of hardworking branch executive and polling agents are looking for 20,000 cedis to start up viable business of their own, he got such huge dollars in his car dashing out to this canny woman who has never been part of and parcel of our political struggle in opposition. But since he publicly apologized for such discretion, we accept in good faith, hoping he doesn't repeat same anyway. Ernest Everlove sent that one too. Sabo.
This gift matter, let me start on a controversial statement. Gift itself is not a crime, but the act of gift can be a crime. You see, the reason why I'm saying this is that I've heard a lot about Sammy, and like the way Don was expressing. Yes, he's been given. That, I mean, those who know him, who are closer to him, they've been saying that he's been given. But because he was not a public, or he was not holding any public office, that's why it was not an issue. Even if it was done in the theater of Holywood, it would have been an issue because he's a private person. But today he's occupying a public office, and that is why it has become an issue. Maybe there would have been some sort of purity in the giving. He gave it to her because she requested for it. And he never even had a second thought and gave out the money. And unfortunately, it was captured and made public. And once it is made public, the taxpayer will want to know how come this money is being given out, especially the office that he's holding, that we all know that gold trade in Ghana here, though we are in Ghana, but mostly it's done in dollars. And even if it were to be cedis, I don't think it could have even gotten that high, but because it is in dollars. So I strongly believe, especially with the text messages that you've read, the initial one and the rest, I think to regain public trust and also make government look good, I think sometimes it is good that when you see that a lot of people are complaining about it, you come out to just say you've erred and you feel you don't deserve to be there. However, having said that, I will not take it away from him that for him to even come out to apologize is also a very good sign of he accepting what he has done. Like Don was saying, in its naked form, it wouldn't be a crime. It wouldn't have been a crime at all. But the fact that that's the public opinion, that is what public believes to be, and you are in the interest of the public, then you must go with the public. I hope you are getting me. Nonetheless, again, maybe had it been a different person, let's say, maybe had it been my senior, Dr. Mutara, maybe it wouldn't have been an issue. Yeah. But because of the statement he also made, and even as a lawyer too, when Cecilia Dapa's issue came, and he made reference to certain acts in the law listing, and said that this one it's a straightforward issue, then judging from that particular statement, people have said that once he believed in those things, then, I mean, there would have been the need for him to remain in his office, or better still, even do what he has done. But all of us here are accomplices of that particular act, especially as politicians. That one is an established fact, that you can never be a politician and eat alone. I am telling you, you can never, especially in Ghana here, and eat alone. I'm telling you.
At alone and left other people in the party. He ate with his family and then
I really want to go there. So for that one there, and especially the kind of office that he's holding, I don't mean the good boardism, but the Director of Communications. For that particular office there, it's a very hot this, you know. And excuse me to say, once somebody can express himself, that person becomes a member of that particular outfit. And wherever the person, I mean, and when you go out there, your people are many. There are even many, in fact, at the communications, I would tell, in fact, I would say that the people at the communications are more than the rest of the departments. Yeah. Because when it comes to organizer, youth organizer, I mean, it's defined. But communication is not defined. One, the person can express himself, he's a member of the communication system. And even sometimes somebody will even come and sit here and be introduced as NDC communication member, and the two of them will not know the person. And indeed, he's not pretending. He's actually a member. So it's a very broad-based system. But I think we should also learn a lesson from his experience. That sometimes we should be guided by the kind of statements that we make. In fact, he said the past issue when it came, I'm an MPP member, not just a member, and of course, regional director of communications. But I think I sat on a set there and said that somebody of his caliber, I mean, he should have set a good example. I don't believe that the money is a state money, but for you to keep this sum of money in your house, I don't think that's the best, because you're supposed to set a good example for the rest to follow. Do you get me right? But nonetheless, I also, like he said again, that it's a tradition. In fact, it's part of our culture, giving, the act of giving. In fact, in the Gbani, we have something about the Takopse. Yes, that when they send a younger person to you, and when the person is going, you need to get something for that person to motivate the person, that the person will be willing to be sent to you again tomorrow or something of that sort, or that this work that he has done is worth it, and other things. So it is embedded in our culture, and you cannot even go to a chief palace empty-handed. Yeah. You have to go there with certain things. But once you find yourself in a public space, then you should know how to balance these two things and so move together. So I wouldn't want, because it's a very slippery area. And then maybe what I'm also saying today, if care is not taken, I'll forget, and tomorrow I'll also be referred to the things that I have said here today, just like the way today he's being referred to. But maybe even yesterday when he was saying those, he meant well. Maybe it wasn't for witch hunt or something, he meant well for the distance. But forgetting that is part of our culture. The money in Sicily, the past room and the rest. When in fact, I lived with my mother more than any member of my family. But my mother, she used to be a businesswoman. But we had this kind of trunk, this school trunk. That's where she keeps her money. Sometimes she'll come from the market, will count out till late in the night. She'll put it there, lock it, and put it under the bed. Our parents used not to take money to the bank. But when she said the price issues, including myself, we condemn her for keeping money in the room. But it has been part of our culture. That our grandmothers, even when we want to, those days when we were kids, we want to go and pick some coins on the rest, you'll be looking for your clothes. At the tail end of the clothes, that's where they tie the money. Then you untie it and take whatever coins that you want and tie it back, and then you see, I'm just trying to let people know what our culture has been. But nonetheless, once they've been able to take us to school and also make us learn certain aspects of life, definitely when we come back, will not be the same. But I share in his view that certain things have been, I mean, it's part of us. It's our culture, and we cannot do away with them. And then, what do you call it? In conclusion, because I don't even know what to say, but in conclusion, I will want Sami Jemfi, beside the apology that he has come to render, maybe to take further action, to say that based on what the general public is saying, and then I stand for what they call the interests of the nation and the rest, I think it is time that I excuse myself and then let somebody to come and then take over the office. If it were to be a different office altogether, I mean, it wouldn't have been an issue. But dollar and coming from gold board, it's a very big issue.
Thank you very much. But you give us perhaps a quote of the year. You can't be a politician and eat alone.
Oh no, yes.
You can't eat alone.
Especially in Africa. You can never be a politician and eat alone.
This Kojofi Agbe, Togbe Angelo says, we regret the unfortunate incident involving Sami Jemfi, who acted in good faith but faced unintended consequences. Prompt apology and clarification are appreciated. We stand by him and urge caution in future decisions to avoid needless public uproar. He has not abused his office, but should serve as a valuable lesson in the unpredictable nature of our politics. There's a boy, Lolonya, who says Atofoson has arrested the dollar and given the key to Baumia instead of the IGP. Interesting. Israel Bruce says the whole thing about Sammy Jemfi's money giving act is because of the receiver in the name of Agrada. Akil Wahab says, what wrong has Sami committed? Is Sami not doing well at Go Board? Has what happened led to the point that he must resign? Why are we making noise about this minute issue? This is the level the MPP government has sunk the political standard. The MPP are struggling to find fault about government. The Ezra Bruce says, if not because Agrada has denigrated GM before, it wouldn't have been an issue too much and have increased the vuvuzela. Danny Niki says, what are you saying? Nanado accepted a gift in public glare. What did the MPP say about that? They were muted. Hypocrites. That's Danny Niki. Tahir Ali says, Sena, no amount of MPP lies will let Sami Jemfi leave his office. Okay, so these are some of the comments you're sending to us. Then there's this one from is it Nibiken Abdul Latif, who says the beauty of the whole thing is that he has apologized for his action. I think the president pardoning him is the right decision to take. Let me also take this opportunity to greet my inspirational politician, Dr. Mutala. I keep forgetting the doctor parts. So since he's called you Doc.
Sena, I'm not going to sit here to attempt to defend Sami Jemfi. And I'm saying so because he has apologized. It means that he has admitted that his action was indiscretion and, to say the least, inexperience. So I won't make any attempt to defend it. In an attempt to defend it, I'll be seeking to justify an action he himself has actually condemned, and for which reason he is apologizing. But to compare what he did with what Cecilia Dapa did for me is the most preposterous comparison I have ever heard. Look, I don't know how much the lady actually took, but trust me, if Sami had given Agrada 20,000 Ghana cedis bundle, even in the same manner he gave the dollars, there wouldn't have been an issue. Trust me. The only issue that would have been is that Sami is dashing money. But I guess it has become an issue because the currency in which the money was given. Because $800 should be around 11,200 Ghana cedis. So if Sami had given $20,000, one bundle, the 200 Ghana cedis, trust me, it wouldn't have been much an issue. And again, the other issue that people had, one was because the money is in dollars. Two, also the person the money was given to. Assuming it was me or it was Sabo that Sami gave the money to, trust me, it wouldn't have attracted that much attention as it has attracted. But for some of us, I think that Sami, it wasn't only indiscretion, but I think that also inexperience. And I say inexperience because we all do give money, politicians. I mean, someone meets you at a place and then people will come. I'm a party boys. Every day I get to the office. Sometimes I go to the office very early. By 7 o'clock, 7:30, I'm already in my office. And sometimes I'm the only person to leave the office. So you get to the office as early as 7:30. There are people already seated at your reception. Look, you would attend to people almost the entire day. In fact, I remember recently my chief director said, look, you need to have specific days and times that you meet people. And Sena, 99% of the people who come to me are not even from my constituency. They are NDC people. We have two groups of NDC people. Without any disrespect to any of our colleagues, there are some of our colleagues the public doesn't know much. People do not know much. But those of us who sit on TV, who communicate for the party, you are not only being a representative of your constituency, you are a national representative of any NDC grassroots, particularly if you are a communication officer, and those of us who are members of the NDC communication team. So we find that sometimes you go to places with your colleague ministers and people don't know them much. But they know you because you are always on TV. And any NDC person particularly, they watch TV. And you have been communicating for NDC 30 years. 30 solid years I've been communicating for NDC. Started the communication from the campus of University of Ghana to Tamale to Accra, 30 solid years. So naturally, people will know you. So when they meet us at program, they come, in fact, every day. Some will come to you, they want jobs. Some will come to you, rent. Some will come to you, either the wife is not well. Some will come to you, either they themselves are not well. And sometimes when you get there, whatever you have, you give out. So assuming that someone comes to me and I remove money given to that person, anybody can just take what? A video of it. And the moment the person takes a video, it becomes an issue. Look, if you go to the north, there are appellations. There will be, you know, particularly those of us who are royals, they will be drumming and then talking about your great-grandparents you don't even know. And they do that. If you don't even give something, it's demeaning, it's degrading even to the person who is beating the drums and telling you about that. I don't think you've seen me dance publicly. Even when I think that I've done that in my life about 2 times. One, it was Honorable Haruna Idrisu's mother-in-law's funeral. And when they came, everybody, Haruna insisted that I should dance. So I also had to do some small dancing. But when you are dancing, and when I was dancing, I had Honorable Haruna, ABF, they all came to give money. You know, they all came to, the money is not for you. The money is for those who are beating the drums. So when you do that, people will easily capture that. Usually, when you go to a program, and mind you, Sami Jemfi is a communication director of the party. Forget of what his new role. Throughout the country, people know him. Now, if you have just communicators who people know, people will come to you, and you have a communication director. Are you getting what I'm saying? So people will come to you. Usually when they come, maybe what he should have done, I'll let someone see you. Even if Sami Jemfi had given $100,000 to someone to be given to Agrada, and that one was captured, there wouldn't have been an issue. But it's Sami Jemfi who is giving the money to the woman. So maybe perhaps we all need to learn. I agree with Sabo and my other colleagues. We all need to learn. For me, it's a learning curve. Because when you go and then maybe you could have just, someone will see you. The question I ask is, who was videotaping? Was it just a random person? Was it just a journalist? Was it someone closer to Sami Jemfi or closer to Agrada? And I think the other issue is the person who took the money. Virtually snatched the money from Sami Jemfi. Because if I gave you, then you snatched. And then having snatched the money, turned to the cameras and showed the money. So I think, frankly speaking, look, and the code of conduct, I was there when the president, you know, launched the code of conduct. Perhaps many people didn't, and our friends from the MPP, whether they didn't watch or they didn't take time to read, you know, the code of conduct. The punishment for such misconduct ranges among many other things. 1, public apology is one of them. 2, to reprimand you, sometimes publicly. 3, to sometimes you resign. And 4, you'll be made to jump. And the president didn't say that it is going to be in this order. If the president had said that, if you do this, this is going to be the punishment. So I think that the speed with which Sami apologized, and that's why I don't want to sit here and defend it. I could only defend it if Sami Jemfi had justified it. But he himself admitted that, look, it was an indiscretion on my part, and I sincerely apologize. So it means that he himself is admitting that what he did was wrong. I find it hurting when you find some of our colleagues trying to justify it. The gentleman himself admit that, look, it was indiscretion. We all do make mistakes. But the strength of a man is the speed with which you admit your mistake and apologize for same. That he himself said, look, it was an indiscretion. I apologize. there are people in this country who have committed grievous sins than what Sami did. And they will not have even the courage to apologize. Now, the other question is, if the president's position was that if you indeed violate any of the code of, ethics of a public officer, there are several options. Now, you can apologize, and the president in his discretion says that even though you have apologized, I'm still going to fire you. The president can do that. You can apologize, and the president in his discretion says, look, you're going to lose your salary. Because I remember some of our colleagues who couldn't, file their assets. The president never said, when he declared his assets, that if you fail to declare your asset, you are going to lose a number of months of your salary. He said there will be consequences. Some couldn't do that. The day the president was launching it, and I believe that those who indeed fell victim to, or who were not able to declare their asset, they never had any prior knowledge that this was the punishment the president was going to give to them. But the president took the decision. Yes, those of you who failed to declare your assets, you are going to lose 4 months of your salary. I'll tell you an interesting thing. When I filed, my bank, in fact, I use only one bank, and I have never had any dollar accounts or any, I have never had that in my life. So I declared the total amount of money I have in my accounts, like the cash I have. And then the Auditor General position was that I don't need to declare the total amount of money. I just need to state the bank. Are you getting what I'm saying? I just need to state this bank, but not to declare. Because I thought that I needed to do it to the fullest. I do the declaration. So what I will say, Sena, the MPP want to magnify it. They want to, and the attempt to compare what he did to what Cecilia Dapa did. And I agree with lawyer that they have, look, the MPP, they are the most courageous people that I have ever seen in my life. The very people who defended Cecilia Dapa to the hilt were the people leading the press conference. How ridiculous. So I think, frankly, and I guess one of the reasons why the president was also satisfied with the apology rendered, one, the guy demonstrated remorse and some humility. He's a young guy who has a huge future, not just the NDC politics, as far as the politics and the governance of this country is concerned. If the president decides that, okay, I'm going to sack you, do you know how it would affect him? Young person, this will be the first appointment that he is getting in a government. Are you getting what I'm saying? Forget of his role as a communication, director for communication. Appointment, a political appointment, is the first that he is getting by a government. And then you come out and say, okay, even though you've apologized, go. I really don't think that that is the way to go. And so the president's decision to pardon him after his apology, I think for me, is the best. They can keep on talking the way they want to talk. And I've heard some of them who I know that will certainly be subject for some investigation and prosecutions because of their conduct one way or the other, are also indeed making comments, granting interviews and saying the Sami Jenfi, indeed they are. I'm told that they said they've Shiraj. What is Shiraj going to look into this? My money. I decided to give the money. I decided to give someone. What is Shiraj going to do about this? As much as I do about nothing. It's busybody. They want to be engaged and to be seen doing something.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, this is Eddie Gideon says, and in fact, of late, whenever and wherever the MPP folks speak, then wisdom. Okay, I think I read this one from it. It says, as a people, we must be fair in all aspects. He who calls for equity must come with clean hands. Sami Jenfi has not broken any law in Ghana. As we speaking, should be left alone. In any event, were we not in Ghana when Chairman Wuntumi was displaying gold bars on live TV? How about the Minister of State stashed millions of foreign currency under her bed? As the MPP dealt with the uncountable bundles of crimes they committed against Ghanaians in their 8 long years in power, the MPP should give us a break. Instead, they should rather fix their broken party. We are tired and sick of their pseudo-posturing. That's coming from Eddie Gideon. I think this is the final one. If MPP members are saying the CDA gaining his ground against dollar is not to do with any government intervention, but because of Donald Trump tariff, then my question to the MPP is then why the same cedi also being gaining its ground against the pounds, the euro, and CFA, among others. Thank you
maybe
very
because
much.
Of the final of the Queen.
Yeah. And then Dennis again comes. Dennis Yakwete. In as much as we are rebuking Sami Jemfi for his indiscretion, his conduct is not comparable to that of Sisi Adapa, who was to execute a project involving huge sums of money as minister, which was never done, and a huge sums of money, including dollar-denominated currency, were later reported missing from her house. That's Cecilia Adapa's contest. Shalom. Well, thank you very much. I was even surprised that politicians actually discussed this. Because I've been a reporter for quite a while, I've seen many things, and I've been to many places. And to be very frank, what Sami Jemfi did, yes, I am surprised that any politician in Ghana had the guts to talk about it. I was even shocked. I just thought they would just say, let the public speak. But people have even gone to the extent of petitioning Shraj. I was like, wow. What wasn't so interesting? Just watching people even saying resign. I said, wow. It's the, what they call it, the grassroots people who suffer. Those who do the ambush, they will suffer the most. But a big thank you to my panel for today. Of course, as always, a pleasure to see you this morning. Yeah. Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, and also innovation, so part of it.
Yes, in fact, it's important. Yes, I explained this already. I'm saying that innovation which has been given to communication is digital innovation. Okay. But innovation still sits with the ministry. However, with the realignment. So I even made a case because people think that it's just innovation. Because all the agencies under the Ministry of Environment, their core mandate and function is to research and innovate. Yeah. CSR is about research, about innovating, GAIC, NRA, NBA. So I think that maybe when I had a discussion with some senior, members, they said, look, they would look at it. But digital innovation.
But it's great because you still have science and technology. Yeah. This is the biggest driver of the world economy. Of course, if you say digital, science and technology is still coming. Yeah. So there's the minister, Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed.
Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed.
You still stick to your curry. If I call him, that's how I call you. That's I even forget that. Yeah. Well, let me thank you to lawyer Andrew Apia Dankwa, paralegal practitioner, also spokesperson for the Movement for Change, and Nia Boyanan is a financial analyst, member of the NDC in Ododo Diodio.
Yes, one.
Yes. Everybody knows it done it. And of course, Adam Sabo Abdurrahman is Greater Accra Regional Communications Director of the New Patriotic Party. And a big part of this show is you. We thank you very much for making time to join us and of course sending in your comments. Today, of course, I nearly forgot that today is the birthday of one of the most active listeners of this show. He does not send in comment because of where he works. But happy birthday to, okay, I never knew this was your name. And forgive me if I butcher it. Oromasis, which I have never heard before. Ni Odate and the other Golightly. Ni Odate Golightly. Yeah. Golightly. Oh, okay. To be very frank, I've never heard it before. It's the first time.
Mostly from the English side. Yeah, I should tell you that. So it's a British English.
Oh, okay.
Yes, English is what we call English.
Okay. And of course, from the crew at Pan-African Television, we say a big thank you, and also from Radio Gold, was live on Radio Gold, of course live on many other affiliates radio stations across the country. A big thank you to all of you for making time. We'll see you same time next week.
He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer.